I trust we are all good. It's been a long break from the Easter. And I think we all celebrated a very good Easter. I thought I would get a message from any of you, but well, there wasn't an Easter message from you to me. But it's fine. I'm sorry I'm quite late just for the lateness. And today we'll look at animations. Please, today we'll look at animations. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yep.
All right, sure. And David, I
Yes,
don't know
sir.
whether the groups are ready. The presentation, is any group ready? Or we are in the hands of God? Please, I didn't get that.
Yes, so I was saying we are ready.
Okay, all right. Then any of the groups can start. I don't know which group would love to present first. So there are four groups. Whichever group has their presentation ready can take it for us. So group 8, 4, 6, and is it 1 or 2? Yes, David. I don't know, but I can't. I'm not hearing you. I can't hear you, please. Yeah. Please, is there any group that's ready? If we are ready, let's take the presentation, please.
So, Bufon, if maybe you are ready, you can start with the presentation.
Okay. So we first so just to get it right, are we to share just a technical brief or the videos as well?
Yes, so you share both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay, please just a moment. Let me.
All right, sure.
Okay. So there was a bit of challenge with the actual video, but
Okay.
we did our best. Let me just put it that way. We did our best.
Yeah,
And
that's fine.
so let me just share what we did.
Okay.
Okay. Please, is it showing
Yes.
the screen? Okay. So what we did, okay, afterwards, I'll have to play the videos for us to understand. But essentially, what we did was to animate a bouncing ball. And
Okay.
yeah, so we chose the bouncing ball, from the examples we gave because there was no way we were going to get a flower a bag of flour, you like you mentioned. So we
Yeah.
decided to stick with the bouncing ball, which was pretty simple. And
Okay.
the reason, we decided to go with the bouncing ball was because we found out that, I mean, it sounded like the easiest choice. Let me just be honest.
Of
But
course.
it was actually the hardest one to do, um, because we through our research, we found out that the bouncing ball is usually the foundation of any animation. And when it comes to animation, it forces you to think about, a number of things. From the assignment, you could look at the physics, the weight and the personality. So over the next few minutes, obviously, we'll walk you through these two principles. Um, we applied, how we built the animation frame by frame, using stop motion, what happened when we handed the same task to an AI. And the AI software we used was Luma. And again,
Luma.
that was the example you gave in the assignment. And
Yeah.
what we took away from comparing the two, the actual video and the AI video. So the bouncing ball again is like let me just say the hello world, when it comes to usually doing the animation. So first, the object, which was a white ball. I wish I could share a picture of it. Um, so please pardon me. Let me just share the picture of the white ball we used.
That's
So,
fine.
all right. Let me just get the picture shortly. Okay. All right. So, um, this is a white ball we used. I believe you can see it. It's
Yes,
white.
that's
Yes.
visible.
So yes, we use the white ball. It's a rubber ball. And as you can clearly tell, I mean, it's much simpler in shape. It's much simpler in shape, and because it has no arms, no face, no costume, and uh the animation we did, kind of made it easier to work with. All right. So the second is the method. So the first is the object, which is a rubber ball. Then the second is the method. And the method we used was stop motion. The method we used was stop motion. Just a moment. Let me just get out of here. Yes, so the method we used was stop motion. So again, this is the method, the bouncing ball. And then we use the method stop motion. And what stop motion essentially means is that we physically repositioned the ball between every single frame and we photographed it. And
Good.
so, yes, so there was no software um, interpolating the movement for the shot, all right? And so every frame we did was, step by step. And the third is the goal for which the decisions define the project. Now, there was a seamless 10-second loop, okay? And at let's say 8 frames per second, we try to ensure that when we restart, the viewer would not notice, how they were joined together. You get it? So that was the object, the stop motion, and then we tried to ensure that it was seamless. The loop was seamless. And so now we can talk about the animation principles. And as far as the animation principles are concerned, we had to study the principles we needed to apply. Again, it was in the assignment, the question. And these came from some principles of animation. I mean, obviously, we didn't fully understand the assignment. We had to read deeper to understand what it really meant. It was very technical, very, very technical. So we went down the rabbit hole of, finding out that there are some 12 principles of animation. And if back in the days, we used to watch what we call cartoons. I mean, some people still watch cartoons, you know, and this was first applied by someone in Disney, Walt Disney. He first, codified this principle. The name was Ollie Johnston or something like that. And so these were the observations we made. You get it? These were things they applied in animation. From the cartoons back then, Lion King, Lady and the Tramp. I mean, we might have seen these in the past. All of these apply a lot of these, techniques. And so we focused on two. There are 12 principles, but we focused on two because we are working with a rubber ball. And we focused on the first principle being the squash and stretch. Okay, so this particular principle, the squash and stretch, is about communicating essentially physical properties through deformation, like we have put over here, through deformation. So when the ball hits the ground, it squashes. For people who have seen, we didn't have a football, you get it, and the rubber ball was easier to work with. For those who have worked with even football before, you see, when the football hits the ground, it squashes and it widens horizontally. Okay, we'll show the video afterwards. And then when it launches back up, it elongates as well. So the volume of the whole ball remains the same, but only the shape changes. It's a bit technical, but I believe I'm trying to make sense of it. Okay, so in reality, based on the explanation of squash and stretch, okay, in reality, when a rubber ball, compresses slightly, when you push a rubber ball slightly, um, you don't see that side so much. I think the squash and stretch is invincible. So it will squash and stretch, all right, but you won't see it. It only happens within the ball. It's subtle. Um, when you are watching it on screen. So when you are watching an actual football on screen, when a football is bouncing, you won't see it. It's very subtle, pretty invisible. Okay, but it happens. Okay, so it tells you that the objects, it has some mass, it has flexibility, and it is clearly not a stone. So there's a movement in the ball that allows it to squash and stretch. Now, the second principle we applied is anticipation. Now, with anticipation, it is again from what we gathered is the preparatory motion before a major action. So over here we wrote that before the ball's biggest jump, it dips slightly, and that is what we refer to as the preparatory wind up. And so this is a lot of technical terms. This tiny downward motion before the upward lunge gives the viewer a beat to expect what is coming, making the jump feel more dramatic and intentional. So in our animation, just before the ball's biggest jump, it dips slightly downward as if it is gaining energy. So it dips slightly downward, it loads up on energy, and then it shoots up. So that was the anticipation. But so we realized that without anticipation, the whole jump of the ball is sudden. Okay. But with anticipation, which is the principle of animation, the jump is powerful. All right. So just think of it as someone who is jumping. Okay. Let's say any human being who is jumping, they bend their knees first. When they bend their knees, what they're anticipating is they're anticipating to go up with so much energy, like basketball. When they are trying to shoot the ball, they bend their knees because they need to level up for the ball to go, with some power. All right. So when human beings, we bend their knees, and that knee bend is the anticipation. So it's the same in rubber ball. So the knee bend is what we refer to as the anticipation. And the jump will land harder because of, you anticipate that once you bend your knee, it goes up. That's the same way when you decide to, push a ball downward with energy, you're expecting that it will move up quickly. But if you drop the ball slowly, you are anticipating that the ball will move up slowly. I don't know if it's making sense, but that is the principle of anticipation. So in every anticipation, these principles are applied, squash and stretch, and then, there is anticipation. Now, there is the this is the setup, how we shot the actual video. And it was more of a practical side. And so we again, we didn't have the luxury of meeting together to do it. So we tried to, do it from home to see how it will work. So we mounted a phone on a stable surface. And so for this, the truth with animation is every small camera movement, between any frame will obviously affect what you are doing. Okay, so you have to ensure that your phone is stable. You get it? You don't need to have any unnecessary movement. Okay, because if there's an unnecessary movement, it destroys the illusion. So we try to keep it stable and ensure that the lighting was, kept constant throughout. And then there was a frame by frame process. And again, we positioned the ball, shot the frame, moved the ball a small amount, and shot again. It was a lot of work. We couldn't do so much good work because we are not expert directors, so pardon us. So we did the frame by frame process. Then we executed the principles. The principles, as we already described, the squash and stretch execution, and which is the physical deformation of the ball. And then there is the anticipation dip. So we managed it. We did manage it. So back to the AI enhancement. All right. So after completing our manual animation, we took, our clearest static frame. I'll show the video to see how the AI also looked like when we applied it. Okay. So we used Luma. And what we told Luma was to give it a prompt, like the assignment said. We just took a picture of the rubber ball and we told the AI tool to animate this object jumping with high energy. That is what we told Luma. So the AI produced a video and we compared it to the stop motion, which was the actual production, to see the difference. So there's a difference in doing an actual stop motion and using AI. And if you have realized, there's been a lot of discussion in Hollywood as regards why they don't want to use AI in their movie production, the animation production. Now, here is why. Here is why Hollywood doesn't want to use AI, or people are fighting against using AI in animation and in movies. When you go through the actual work of stop motion, you realize that in as much as it is imperfect, you see it, you understand. With AI, if someone even has a scar, the AI will cover the scar. But that is not how it actually is. And our stop motion also shows that the exaggerated squash, which is a principle in the animation, it will communicate the real weight. Because if you are actually moving, comparing a football and a small ball, in an actual animation, you see what it feels like in real life. But with AI, there is minimal squash on impact. It's rigid. You don't see the ball actually moving, having some, life to it. It is rigid. Then in stop motion, which is a real actual production, anticipation dip gives jump a sense of effort. But in AI, there's no anticipation. The ball simply moves in reverse. In stop motion, the physics is felt, not just seen. In AI, the physics is plausible, but not felt. In stop motion, we say that the ball has personality and emotional presence. In AI, we agree that it is optimized for photorealism, not emotion. So this is the difference in what a stop motion and AI is. Again, a stop motion is essentially the actual production where you use real life items to do an animation. All right, but the AI, I'm tempted to say it's a lazy approach in doing, what you want to do with your animation, but it gets the work done anyway. So we had a bit of reflection, and so we did realize that stop motion is labor intensive. And these are technical breakdown. When we say stop motion is labor intensive, it requires a lot of work, not just one person. And as I've already indicated, with the stop motion, we wish we were together, because one person cannot shoot an actual video. You need everybody to play a role in stop motion. Okay. And we explained that the ratio of effort to seconds is humbling, because we have to take like 80 plus individual shots for 10 seconds of animation. Now, it made me understand sometimes when you watch an animation and it takes 2 years before they release another one, we'll be complaining. But
Yeah.
if you know the level of the work that goes into releasing an animation, you probably understand, you know. And again, the principles are not the creative. In our technical reflection, every frame we got wrong was one we ignore the principle. So we are not experts, but we did our best to try to explain it. And then we agreed that AI tools are production assistants, not animation thinkers. So AI can texture, it can smoothen, it can render, but it cannot feel the weight. And everything looks so fake. It's so obvious. It optimizes for photorealism, not for the emotional truth that animation is designed to communicate. And I think I may make a good example of recently there are some animations from AI about some random cat videos. I don't know anyone who has seen it. These random cat videos who are just doing random stuff in these videos, so there's no feel to it. The storyline is bland. It's just movement all over the place. You
Yeah.
can't see, you can't
There's
see the
no
actual.
motion. Yeah.
Yes, so AI always does that. But if we can see AI as a production assistant rather than doing an actual work, then maybe we can head somewhere. So in the long conclusion, we'll say that animation is an act of deception. And you lie to the viewer about physics in order to tell an emotional truth. A ball does not actually squash when it hits the floor, but when we animate it, the viewer feels the weight, the energy, and the life. And that deception, as you are watching the animation, requires you as a human to judge what you see. And this is what the 12 principles encode, but we only had to do with two principles. And so, and with these 12 principles, we realize that no AI prompt can fully replace it. In as much as AI is here to stay, AI cannot encode any of these 12 principles. So before I end, I just want to play the video for us all to see, how it looks like. And so if I may, let me just play the video.
Sure.
All right, just a moment. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, this is a picture. All right, so let me share this. Okay, so what we see here um is an AI video. Please, is the ball showing the white ball?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Yes,
all right.
sorry.
So this is an AI video of a ball. If you look at it, so the first question one of our group members asked was, why is the ball folding inside? You know, why is
Yeah.
the ball folding inside? Because this is not realistic at all. When you try to move, try to push a ball downward and upward, it doesn't squeeze. It does it all right, but it is invisible. But over here, the AI video is overdoing, is not making it realistic. So this is one of our videos. And then there's a second video. Let me just play that one quickly. Um yes, so okay. Let me share that one too. Okay, so this is the second video. So this is another AI video. The noise is just unnecessary. And then you realize that the ball looks funny. The ball looks funny. This is not how a ball bounces when it's, yes. And it's, you see, you can outrightly see the ball changing shape and trying to look, yes, that it has energy. But when you shoot and you throw an actual ball, everything is invisible to the eye, the viewer's eye. It does all of these things, but it's invisible to the viewer's eye. I think I've lost the actual video we shot, but essentially this is what we did. I'm unable to find the actual video we shot, but pardon us, but this is what we could do. I believe we've been able to explain at least what some of these principles are. Thank you for your attention.
That's okay. Please, do you have any questions for Caleb? Any questions for group 2? Yeah, they've done very well. That's a very good one. Yeah, question, Yima.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please. So far the videos they've showed us was the AI generated one. We didn't get to see the manual one.
Yes, that's true.
Frame by
That's
frame. If maybe they could share that with us so that we can see the contrast between.
Yeah, so I'm struggling to. So someone did it in the group, but we are unable to get that video. That's why I was saying that please pardon us. I don't know, the file is very huge, so we are struggling to get that video. It's a very huge file. We use a phone to shoot it, so it's a very huge file. We are unable to get it now. So please pardon us. Yeah, please pardon.
Okay. So Ima, let's pardon them. When they get the video, they'll share with us.
Okay, so no problem.
Yeah,
No problem.
that's okay.
Maybe
Yeah. It would have been more clear. He has done well with his explanation. So that's fine. So basically, squash actually happens in realism, but it's not visible to the eye. So in conclusion, that's what he's trying to say. That's what Ima is fighting for us to see. But for the AI, I realize that the ball is overly compressing. AI is trying to depict the actual thing, but as I said, let me borrow his word. The AI has overdone or overdo. Okay, so I hope some other group will be able to show us the photorealistic animation. Okay, so I don't know what group is ready, but I think Caleb has done well. He has done extremely well with his group, Dave, with the explanation, and it was okay. All right, yeah. So the next group, you might see your group.
Yeah, group 4.
All right, sure.
Yes, sir. It's our group.
Charlie, we are preparing plenty questions for you.
Oh, yes, I'm ready. I was more ready.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now.
All right, sure.
Okay. This is my screen visible.
Okay, yes, I can see your screen. I believe we all can see my screen.
Yes.
Yes,
please.
Okay. So my name is Imano Baja and I'm repping group 4. Okay,
all right,
so we have the living object challenge as we were asked to title our projects in the PDF, and then we are going to animate a person IoT icon using digital twinning. Yes, so for us, we weren't able to meet like physically or even online to take the shots and all. So we decided to do the digital aspect, which is using a software to set keyframes and then twin those keyframes to create a person effect on an icon. Yes, so for the icon, I downloaded it off the internet. So this icon over here is like an Internet of Things icon. That is what IoT stands for. And look at this icon. Internet of Things. So I'm going to go to the next slide. We look at the requirements. Then we see what we're able to do and how we arrived at our answer. Okay, so on my second slide, we have the objective. Sorry, let me clean this. Okay. Okay, so the objective was to transform a static IoT icon into a living character. When you say living, something that looks realistic. Like it looks like it is performing an action, even though it is a synthesized, object. And then we're asked to use classical animation principles. For us, we chose to use anticipation and then squash and stretch. Okay, and then for the duration of the video, it's a minimum 10 seconds as required. So we had to stick with a minimum because generating longer videos or creating longer videos required more time, and then it will take too much space on the PC. And then the method we use is a digital twinning, as I said, using keyframe animation software, which is Adobe Animate. Now, when we say twinning, we have to understand what twinning is before we even look at how we did it. So when you say twinning comes from the phrase in betweening. Okay, so in between in the sense that you set two keyframes and then you tell the software to generate frames in between those two keyframes. So from that, someone will ask that, what is a keyframe? Okay, a keyframe is a point on a timeline where a change occurs. So when you open your software, I don't know if I'm allowed to open the software, but
Oh, you can go ahead.
okay. I'll let it open in the background. So as I explained.
Yeah, so let it be running whilst you explain. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so when we say, yeah, so I was talking about keyframe. So a keyframe is a point on a timeline where a change occurs. So basically, when you open your project, you have the keyframes there already. You have frames lined there already. Okay, and each frame represents a point in time in the sequence that you're about to create. Okay, and then those frames are what we play back to get the animation. So we have something called a frame rate. So a frame rate is like the speed at which those individual frames will be played back. And then it is measured in frames per second, or FPS. So you see FPS anywhere, it's frames per second, which usually tells how quickly the frames are playing back to you. So the higher the frame rates, the smoother your video will look. The smoother. So if you have a low frame rate, like 8 frame rates per second, your video will look choppy, like a car is breaking, like it's experiencing breakages because the frame rate is low. But when the frame rate is higher, it means that the video is playing back those frames at a faster rate. So when you say, let's say 30 frames per second, means that for every second, we are getting what? 30 frames playing back to you. And when you compare that to 8 frames, with how the human eye works, you'll be able to process 8 frames over a second faster than you will be able to process 30 frames over a second. So to you, the human eye, it looks more smooth, like it moves smoother and what's more fluid. So that is what the frame rate does. So the keyframe, I think the Adobe Animate is ready now. So with the keyframe, you set, let me open. Okay, so when you look down here, please, can you all see the screen I'm sharing now?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so when you look at this layer, for instance, this where I've clicked now is a single frame. Let me stretch this one so you see the software has numbered the frames already. So when I click on here, this is one frame, this another. So you see that when I change the frame, the animation also moves along with it, because at that frame, it is displaying something different. But when you play it across a sequence, you get the effect that you're looking for. Okay, so when we see a keyframe, the keyframe is basically the main points that are going to edit. So let me use this highlighted one, the one in purple. So when you see a black dot on a frame, it means that that frame is a key frame. So anywhere there's a main black dot on it like this, it's a key frame. So with digital twinning, what you do is that you set the initial frame and then you set the mid or the end frames. So let's say with this case, I use 3 frames for the beginning. So the first frame is this one. The second frame, you see, is slightly larger. And then the third frame, it comes back to the normal position. Then when you right click over here, you can go to what you create what a classic twin or a motion twin, depending on what you want to do. Then the software itself what create the animation. So now with the case of the digital twinning, you can choose which type of how do you call it, twinning you want to use. And then when the twinning, we have something called easing. Okay, easing. Now the easing is like you editing or deciding how you want the twinning to be done. So we have ease in and ease out. Ease in is where the animation will start slowly and then to speed up. And then ease out is it will start fast and then it will slow down. So we can use both of them together or interchangeably to create the effect you are looking for. Since what we chose is a static icon. So if you want this icon to be able to move and you are using the digital twinning, you set your 2 keyframes as I showed. So here and here, then in between them, you put a twin and then the software generates it for you. And then when you play it across a sequence, you get the effect that you want. So all these gray ones are frames. So it has been numbered. My first video ended at the 90th frame. Okay, so and then you see the timing over here. So over here, you see 1S, 2S, which is 1 second, 2 seconds, 30 seconds. And this is 25 frames per second. So you see that at the 1 second mark, we are seeing 25 there. So with the digital twin, for the keyframes, this is how you set it. So you set your first keyframe. You can do as many keyframes as you want, depending on the animation that you want to do. But for this simple one, we did 3 keyframes, the first, the second, and the last. And then in between those 3 keyframes, and then we looped the video over the duration that was required. Okay. So now, I think we are clear on the digital twinning. So now we want to look at why we chose this object. Okay, so why we chose the IoT icon. So IoT icons are abstracts. Or let's say they are abstracts in they are digital. They are not in the real world, they are synthesized. Okay, so being able to give them life using animation demonstrates like strong command over animation principle. It means that you understand what you are doing, like you understand what you've learned and you are practicing it, because it's more of a digital something that you have to tweak manually using the software. Okay, and then the pulsing on the icon suggests breathing. So like just like your heartbeat, like in and out. So that pulsing effect is like just making the icon look like it is breathing. And then the scratch and stretch will make it look like it is bouncing. Okay, so these are the visual metaphors with what we did on the icon. And then for the digital suitability, because it is a round, image or icon, essentially, it is easy to do the twinning, okay, and then get your professional results even without using physical materials like a ball or any other round objects that you use. Okay, so now I want to look at the animation principles that we applied, as I mentioned earlier. So we use anticipation. Now, the definition for anticipation is just like we have in normal English. So it's like you are expecting something to happen. So the animation must do something to make you anticipate that motion that is about to happen. So it's like a preparatory movement. It prepares you for an action that is about to be done. So anticipation basically what prepares It's a preparatory movement for the signals. Sorry, a preparatory movement that signals an impending action to you, the viewer. And then how we apply this before each pulse expansion, I'll play the video so that we understand this summary. Before each pulse expansion, the IoT icon briefly contracts inward. So it shrinks inward and then it expands outward, which creates that breathe in, breathe out effect. Okay, so we said the keyframe, as I said, the first keyframe is the rest state. So when we say the rest state, that is like the initial position of the icon. Then the keyframe 2 is a slight inward compress. So you shrink it or you increase the frame. Sorry, you shrink it because it is inward to create that anticipation. Then on the third frame, you do the full outward pulse expansion. And then when you play it, you see that it shrinks in, it comes out, and it gives that beating effect. Then for the squash and stretch is a principle that talks about deforming an object on impact or movement to convey weight, flexibility, and energy. So just like Mr. Caleb explained with their ball, when you bounce a ball on a hard surface, there is compression happening. Okay, when it hits the ground, that is what we call the impact. It compresses, but because the ball is doing so at a speed that is faster than our eyes, you don't really see, like for example, a football, you don't really see it squash that much or deform that much. Okay, but in animation, which is a digital something, we want to create that effect to make it real to the viewer. Because if you just draw an icon and then you just make it bounce without it squashing and stretching, it doesn't look real enough on video. Okay, it doesn't look real enough on video. So how we apply that is that at the peak expansion, the icon has to stretch horizontally. Okay, when you stretch it, when it hits the impact floor, let me show how we did that one too. So over here, we had to create a ground line, but I've hidden it so you will not see. You have to create a line to show where the bouncing will occur. And then let me forward the frame here. Okay, you let me play this sequence before. So a minute. Okay, so when I play the video from this side, you see that it bounces and then it stretches back. Okay, so what this effect does is that you have the icon falling from above, just like a ball. So when it is falling and then it reaches the ground, let me look at this keyframe. Okay, so at this point where it is supposedly impacting or like hitting the ground floor, we have outlined this side as our ground. So when it hits it, the icon has to stretch. Okay, it has to stretch, and that is demonstrated by what? Expanding the horizontal axis. The horizontal axis is the x-axis, and then the vertical one is the y-axis. So the y-axis becomes smaller or shorter, and then the x-axis becomes wider or longer, which will give it that effect as though it is what? Squash, and that is what we call a squash and stretch. It's like you having, let me say, a softball, and then you press your hand on it. You see, it will compress. So that is the squash, and then it will stretch. And then after it has stretched, it will come back to its normal position. So that is what it does. But then in coming back to its position, it doesn't just come directly. It comes or in a gradual process. So it starts from here. It is a full ball. As it is going down, you see that the size is reducing. And then upon impact, sorry. And then upon impact here, you see that it has squashed and stretched. Then when it is coming back, it starts restoring its shape back to the original. So it does that in a sequence. So we get back to the original position where the icon is in its full size and volume. So with the splash and stretch, you make sure that you preserve the initial volume of the whatever object that you're animating. The volume of the whatever object you're animating will be preserved. So that is what we have written here as our keyframe approach. So the scale X, which I said is a horizontal scale, increases to 120%, which is making it wider, look wider. Then the Y scale, which is a vertical one, will reduce to 85, creating that stretch effect. Then both of them will return back to 100. So at the point that it returns, it's preserved the object volume and then also demonstrates that effect of the squash and stretch. We usually see this in the animations that they used to do prior, like Tom and Jerry and all, Popeye and Co. They used to do that a lot, the squash and stretch effects. So now these two principles can be used together to create that, bouncing and then pulsing effects simultaneously. Okay, I'll demonstrate that in our video later on. Now we go to the production method. I think I've already explained this one. So I downloaded the IoT icon from the internet because there wasn't time to actually draw it from scratch. There are options to draw using in Adobe Animate. You can draw it and then you store those drawings in what we call a symbol. So a symbol is like a container that you can use later on. So once you store it as a symbol, it is added to your library, and then any other new project that you do or scene that you create, we have something called scenes. They are like the workspaces that you can do your twinning, your animations and all. Once you save it in a symbol, you can just drag and drop it, and then whatever, drawing or effect you've done on it will be conserved. That's what we usually use symbols for, so that you will not always have to be doing the same thing over and over again. And if you want to make any changes, you just head into the symbol, you do the changes there, and then when you come back to your original documents, you see it reflected there. Okay, so we did that. We downloaded the icon, then we set the keyframes at the intervals as I stated. So the first keyframe will be the rest state. The second one is the anticipation compress. Then we did the peak expansion with stretch or squash deformation. Now for our work, getting both of them to play together like over a longer sequence was proving difficult and daunting because we had to use like less than 3 days to learn how to do Adobe Animate. So I did a side-by-side, presentation of how both of them works. So I want to play that one before we continue. So on our manual version, I did. So on the left side, we see anticipation working, which is the icon is giving that breathe in and breathe out effect. So please, let's mute mics. Okay, so on the icon on the left side, please, I hope you can all see this.
Yeah, that's the manual. Okay.
On the manual, so we did the first one, which is the anticipation. So when you play, you see the icon looks like it is breathing. So when it is, compressing inward, that is the anticipation effect, and then it bursts out. Okay, and then on the right side, we can see the squash and stretch. When our icon hits the floor, it squashes and then it stretches and then restores back to its original position. Okay. So that is what we did for the in terms of setting the keyframe. So we now apply the tuning. Now with the tuning, the software does it for you. And then after it is done, you can now do your easing, as I mentioned earlier. Now the easing has to do with what makes an animation feel real. Okay, so in the physical world, objects don't just hit on top speed, okay, they accelerate or decelerate. Deaccelerate. So we want to create that same effect in our animation. So that is where the easing option comes in. So you can make it speed up and then slow down, or it starts fast and then it slows down to a halt. Okay, that's basically what easing does. And then we use curves or reference points on a path. Okay, those are more technical terms that I think we should look up on our own. So the easing gives what an organic and elastic feel rather than what linear motion. Okay. Then after doing that, you loop it. Okay. So we looped it seamlessly to get a 10-second mark. As I said earlier, we did it. I think the first frame was over 3 seconds or 2.5 seconds between our first to third keyframe, and then we had to loop it over to get the 10-second mark, and then we exported the file for presentation. Okay, now we want to look at the AI version that we did. Now we were asked to use Luma or Veo, but we used the Luma Dream Machine, and then with the Luma, we just gave it the original IoT icon over here, this icon. We fed it into Luma and then told it to animate this IoT icon, jumping with high energy. Okay. And then we chose this icon because that was our best static frame. Now, we say a static frame is a frame that is not moving. It has no movement, no animation on it. Okay. So that's what we submitted as our seed image, the image that the AI should look on to create that jumping effect. Okay. And then from what we created, we saw that the AI generated motion is more fluid, but it lacks deliberate anticipation. Okay, it's more fluid, just like Caleb's video with the ball. Our icon also looks more fluid. So I'll play that so that we see this is the AI version. And then let us look at how it generated a video. Please, can we all see? Hello?
Yes.
I'm replaying the AI video once again so that we look at how it turned out. Okay, so you see that this AI generated one looks more fluid. Okay, it looks more fluid, like very elastic and all, but it lacks deliberate anticipation. Why? Because the end of the video or the animation should not have the icon in this state. At the end, it should be restored back to its original, like we have in the manual version. When you do anticipation or scratch and stretch or any animation, you want it to revert back to the original shape. But what this AI has done now at the end looks very, disorganized. But when it is playing, it's very fluid. Even to the point where it has exaggerated and, separated some of the, IoT icons from the central hub. Okay.
So Caleb would tell it as overdue.
Yes, Obasabi. That is what a Nigerian man would say. Obasabi. Yes. So that is what we observed. Okay, so the AI is more fluid. It looks more fluid, but it lacks the deliberate anticipation required. Okay. And now over here, when we did our manual one, we also wanted to see how both effects will work together, which is the squash and stretch and the anticipation. But unfortunately, we're not able to get it over 10 seconds. We only got it over 4 seconds because of time constraints. So I'll play that one so that we look at how it's panned out. Okay, so we started with the squash and stretch, and then the anticipation follows. Okay, this, after we try to merge both principles together. Okay. All right, so now I want to look at the differences based on what we observed. We had to, outline.
So sorry, I hope the class has now seen the difference between squash and stretch and animation. I mean, from the combination of two. So anytime you see an animation, you should be able to tell what begins, whether it's a squash and stretch. Is it an animation, anticipation principle? You should be able to tell based on the explanation that you might have just given, and then from Lab as well. Please, I hope you are following. Okay, Yima, please continue.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So now I want to outline the clear differences between manual, production of the animation and then the AI generated ones. Okay. So with the manual one, you can see that the anticipation is more deliberate, as I said, because it is what built into keyframes. And with the AI generator, it's more likely that it's absent or subtle. When you say subtle, it can be there, but it is very difficult to notice because it is AI generated. Then when you look at the squash and stretch effect, it is precisely what controlled axis deformation on the manual side. So as I demonstrated earlier, we had the liberty of what stretching the icon to a size that we saw fit to what match the animation. So you have more control over the axis deformation. The axis deformation is talking about adjusting the x-axis and the y-axis, where the x-axis becomes longer and the y-axis becomes shorter. Okay. And then with the AI side, you see that it is interpolated, which means that it might be approximate. It's not really precise. So AI just does approximations and uses it to create the effects for you. Then when you come to the physics part of it, okay, the realism. For the manual side, it is rule-based and intentional. Rule-based as in you have to know what to do. Like you have to know how the correct way of going about it. Okay. And then you have to use the rules of the particular software you are using. And in our case, Adobe Animate. It has certain rules. There are certain things you try to do, and it will tell you that no, what you've done doesn't work in this regard. Okay, unless you try a different way, a different approach. So it is rule-based and it is intentional. Then AI was obviously trained to do these generations. So it's learned from training data. It has learned from the animations that have been done over the past. So now.
Okay, your time is far gone. So if you can quickly wrap.
Sir, we are about finishing. So I'll
all right, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, we have only one last slide to go. Okay. So and then the creative control. Just as I said earlier, now you have full control in the manual side because every frame is a decision. So you can decide what to do on each frame. And then with the AI one, your control is very limited because it's prompt driven. After the prompt is generated, AI takes over and does the rest. Now, time investment, this is where the manual feels more like, a lot of work because you need more time. Sorry, you need more time to do the manual keyframing, especially over a longer period of an animation. And then AI is lower because it takes seconds, sometimes a few minutes to generate. But you can use hours to work on just like 10-second animation. Then with the loop quality, it is seamless on the manual side because you set it manually. And then on the AI generated side, it's variable. AI may not look cleanly, just as I demonstrated over here. The loop wasn't clean because it didn't end at the original position. AI ended it at, where it wasn't supposed to end. Okay, now look at the key takeaways, which is a summary of what we have done so far. Inanimate objects can be brought to life through deliberate application of classical animation principles. Oh, please, who is annotating the screen? Okay, so even purely digital geometric shapes, just like the IoT icon, it's a purely digital shape, but then you can use animations to bring them to life, animation principles. Then anticipation and squash and stretch can be used together. Okay, so the anticipation sets the expectation, and then the squash and stretch fulfills it with the energy and weights. Okay, giving more life to it. Then digital twinning, it empowers rapid or precise iteration. So the keyframes can be defined with intent, and then the easing curves can also define the personality. Okay, now AI animation now the major conclusion is that AI animation tools offer speed, but they lack intentionality. Okay, so understanding the manual principles as an animator will make you a better collaborator with AI than rather using AI to generate it from scratch. So basically, that is the conclusion of our assessment on AI generation of an animation and then the manual production of it. Thank you very much. This is the end of my presentation.
Thank you to Ima. That was a very good presentation. Losing twinning. So I think it's even good because Caleb went with motion, and Ima also went with twinning. So we've seen the two variations. So that was a very, very, very good one. Your ability to explain what frames per second, key frames, it was very, very good and clear. So I hope we are understanding the terminologies. Okay, this is a lot. In fact, you can learn multimedia within a short period, but you should be able to understand some key points about multimedia, and at least you should know some principles and some tools that you can also use to perform what certain things, or certain requirements of you. That's why it's a foundational course that will give us some insight. So a very good one for Ima. And if you were in class, I would have asked that you should clap for Ima and Caleb. So the next group. So Ima, thank you very much. Okay, and thank you to your group. Yeah.
Please, no questions or
Yeah, questions. Oh, questions for Ima. Any questions for Ima? Yeah, hey, Joseph. Yeah, Marino. Yeah, Joseph. Yeah. Yeah, Joe, please, you can ask your question. Yeah.
So I want to ask Ima, what are the advantages of digital twin over stop motion for this project?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So for what I noticed is that with a stop motion, it requires a lot of time, okay, and also precision. Okay. I remember Mr. Caleb mentioned something about you. Let's say you are taking the videos with a camera. So you, the person handling it, is either you get a gimbal which will stabilize your movement. And even with that, you have to be very, precise, because when you move the ball wrongly in the next frame, it distorts the whole animation. Okay. So with the stop motion, it requires more like effort and precision. And it's more, let me say, it's more of a task. It's a daunting task. It's more difficult to do that than to do the digital tuning. Because with the digital tuning, you just set keyframes, and then the software would do the in-betweening for you. To tell the software that, okay, in between here and here, I want you to make it move like this. So you can let it spin around, you can let it bounce, you can let it ease in and out, you can let it move like a spring or a sine wave, just on what the presets that are already there. Okay, but with the stop motion, you are doing everything manually, so it takes a lot of time, and then you need precision. If you miss, let's say, a frame, or you mistake a frame, you would have to restart again to get perfect work. So that's the key difference. But otherwise, if you're able to do the stop motion accurately, you can get the same outcome.
All right. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, Joe, I hope he has made justice to your question.
Yes, sir.
All right, sure. Joe, that was a very good question, Joseph. Very good one. Yeah. Yeah, please, any other question for Ima? Okay, please, if there are no further questions, I think the next group can present. If there are no further questions for Ima and his group 4, then the next group can take over.
All right. Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, my brother.
Yes, so this is Justice. Yeah, group 8. You
Oh,
have to
okay.
present, yes, group 8. You have to
Hey,
do
I
our
thought David
present.
was presenting. All right,
No,
that's fine.
Okay.
That's
I'm on standby, so don't worry. If
I
anything, I'll take
Yes.
it.
I hear David. All
All
right,
right.
sure.
Okay, so I would
Shifting
like to share my
configuration.
screen so that we take it from there.
Okay, Justice.
Mhm. Please, my screen visible.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Yes, Justice, it is. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon once again. We are group 8, and today we are presenting our work on the living object challenge. Our goal was to take a very static object and also give it personality, weight, and also bring life into it. by means of animation. I'll quickly show the members of my group. These are the members who contributed to this presentation. So we may ask, what exactly were we trying to achieve with this project, the scope and the objective of this particular project? The main goal, a core goal, is to transform static objects into a living character, then also apply fundamental key animation principles. Furthermore, we are to demonstrate illusions of weight and physics. The project's scope has to do with recreating a seamless 10 or more seconds looping animation. And lastly, we compare the manual animation with AI-generated animation. All right, so I'll move on to the next slide. You might be wondering why we chose the bouncing ball. The reason being is that it's simple. We as a beginner, we have to go in for something that we can also find a way to manipulate without stressing much on it, because we are all starting, we are now starting to learn this whole animation thing.
That's
So we
fine,
chose,
Justice.
yes.
That's fine.
We chose the bouncing ball like a shape that looked like a ball. Why did we choose that object? Because it is simple, highly intuitive to animate. It clearly demonstrates complex motions principle, and also it serves as the foundation standard in animation learning, like I indicated earlier. It allows for pure focus on timing, spacing, and weight. All right, so we have some core principles of animation, and among these principles, we are to look at the anticipation. So if one may ask, anticipation is a principle where small movement happens before the main action to prepare the viewer for what is about to happen. So some of the key features is it prepares the audience for an upcoming event. It builds potential energy visually before the kinetic energy releases. It makes motion feel realistic, expected, and very deliberate, more or less intentional. It also prevents action from feeling abrupt and mechanical in some extent. All right, so this is what we meant by the anticipation. It gives you the opportunity to like predict what is about to happen by way of showing an action before the actual event happens. So we move on to the second on the list, which is the squash and stretch. The squash and the stretch principle is when an object changes shape during movement to show impact into bracket force and speed into bracket motion. So they have some key features. If you look at the right side of our slides, you can see some diagrams over there. And one of those features that we can see is they demonstrate the illusion of weight, volume, and impact. You can see from the top, the ball sometimes flattens, which is squashes upon colliding with the ground. The down one over here, where my mouse is located. This is where the squash happens. The squash shows an impact or for a force, whilst the stretch shows the velocity or the speed at which the object is moving. So they provide organic, elastic to rigid 3D geometries. So like we indicated, squash and stretch normally work to hand in hand together to ensure that they give life to inanimate objects. All right, so we move on to the next one, which is animation principle. The follow-through animation principle. The follow-through animation principle is when movements continue after the main action has finished. All right, so naturally, you don't expect something to fail and stop abruptly. It has to show some movement before it finally comes to an rest, or in other words, come to a potential kind of thing. So key features that we can locate in flow-through principle has to do with it detects the motion. It detects that motion continues after the main action concludes. The ball makes successfully smaller and decay bounces, kind of giving you an idea that the ball is about to come to a rest. Gradually loses kinetic energy. The kinetic energy is more or less like the movement that goes through that the object you go through in order to come to an end. So it ensures that the object settle naturally rather than stopping instantly. So these are some of the key features of the flow-through animation. We move on to the production method. So we were asked to choose one among the production methods given by our lecturer, and we chose the digital twinning or the keyframe animation method. So the tool that we utilize in achieving this particular task is the Adobe Animate.
Why did you choose twinning?
All right, so we chose twinning because considering the time frame that we have and also the means by which we can get the work done, we chose the digital means which can automate some of the tasks that we would be doing in terms of the keyframe and animation. Please, are you okay?
So yes, I'm okay. As usual, life is always simple with your group.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
sure.
So the methodology that we chose is the digital twinning, like as I've already indicated. What are the techniques that we use in the digital twinning? We created keyframes to define major positions of the ball, which is the start, the impact, and the bounces, representing single frames. We applied motion twinning to automatically generate intermediate frames in between the keyframes that we have defined. We modify object shape at keyframes to demonstrate squash and stretch principle as indicated earlier in our earlier slides. So we also had the opportunity to use the software to control the timing, the spacing to achieve a smooth and continuous motion. All right. So basically, this is what we chose as a group to get this task done or this challenge done. So I would show a video on how the outcome of the work that we did. So this is the first video of our animation. We chose something that looked like a ball, like a shape that looked like a ball. So the first part of the video, I'll play it. I don't know if it is visible. Please, is it visible?
Yeah, so we can see your slide, each frame. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you can see in the video that there was some movement at the beginning of the frame, which shows that an anticipation. So when it got to this point over here, you can see here that there was some impact. Please, I'm coming. There was some impact over here, which indicates the squash techniques that we are talking about. Then also there was some stretches inside the ball to indicate how fast the ball movement is also going. So that's what we have for the animation side of the manual animation side of our challenge. So we also did a second animation, which was also manual, indicating the same principle that we have already talked about. So you can see the squashing, then the stretching, which indicates clearly how fast the object is moving. Then also, if you check from the beginning, there was some slight squash movement to the left, which created that anticipation that we were all looking forward to have seen before the object moved to or fell to the ground. So that's for the manual side of our work. Then also we move on to the AI enhancement. So we were given the opportunity to use either Vue or Luma, which was the tool that we were instructed to, but I think we had a technical challenge in accessing one of these tools. So we opted for a different AI. I hope, sir, please, is it okay?
Oh, it's
We
fine.
opted
It's
for,
fine.
yeah, okay.
You
We
you
opted
want
for
to
a
take
different,
the work down. Yeah.
all right, we opted for a different AI, which is called the PixVerse AI. So that's also an image to video AI converter. The prompt that we used over here is what was given in the slides. So we use the animate this object jumping with high energy. Okay, so we use the prompt animate this object jumping with high energy as indicated in the assignment. And this was the image that we took to do this experiment. So in our observation, we realized that the AI gave us the outcome the AI gave us was very smooth and mathematically precise to some extent. It was highly realistic, physical rendering and bouncing decay. Then we also found out that the whole workflow was automated, eliminating manual frame plotting. That's what we received from the use of AI. So I'll move on to the next slide by playing the video that we generated. So this is the video from the Pixbest AI. So you can see clearly that before the ball jumped, it initiated an anticipation, moving forward a little bit before the ball jumped. So for me, in this my case, I think the AI did a great work in this particular video. So that's how we got to have this particular result in using the AI and the prompt that was given to us. Then also when we move on to the comparison, we categorize it into core principle, motion control, realism, and production speed. So we realize that the manual version of which we use the Adobe Animate, in terms of the core principle, it was clear application of animation principle through keyframes and twinning. And in terms of the AI, it was less emphasized on explicit animation principle because you wouldn't know, like even though this particular AI was able to give something close to the real or the manual, something that we were able to indicate the stretch and the squashes, but it was not too explicit to the principle that we talked about. Then also when we come to motion control, precisely it's controlled using the keyframes and the motion path. We had controls over where the object should move and also where it should also stop and how they should also move. So in terms of control, we were able to get a full control in the manual version using the Adobe Animate. Whilst the AI side of the story, it was automatic. It was automatically generated with limited manual control. So with that one, we don't have enough control over it. The result too was also okay. When we classify it in terms of realism, you can see that ours was styled motion with strong educational value because we had the chance to also, play with a lot of the tools that we have over there, and it was very close. Though we had some challenges, but it was very close. But when you take the AI part of the story, it was partially realistic by physics-driven motion. When it comes to production speed, for hours it takes it took a lot of time for us to be able to get the work done because we have to go through some research and other information to be able to get some of the stuff done. But when we move on to the AI part of the story, it's just a single prompt that we inputted into the chat box, and at the end of the day, it gave us this result that has been, shown before this slide. So, well, we move on to the project challenges. So, as part of the project, we faced a lot of challenges, which is the pacing and the physics, and that understanding the exact timing to ensure the ball accelerates downwards and deaccelerates up apex naturally. That was one of the challenges that we faced when we were working on this particular project. Then also we faced a deformation accuracy as a challenge, which is being able to apply the squash and the stretch correctly while retaining the optical illusion of the constant object volume. That was another challenge that we faced. And the next on the list is the software adaptation. This is a new tool at Adobe Animate. This is our first time, experimenting with it, and we find it to be a bit of a challenge, knowing how to manipulate a lot of things in the application. So it took a lot of time for us to go through a lot of videos in order to be able to get this little work that we were able to come up with. Then lastly is the time constraints. That the assignment was given within the week, so we couldn't get enough time to, do a massive or intensive research to get perfect work done. Then lastly, we will conclude by saying that animation principle creates illusions of life from static puzzles. Manual animation builds foundation understanding of motions and mass, while AI serves as a powerful enhancement to streamline production. However, AI does not replace the necessity of mastering animation fundamentals. Thank you. Please, I'm done.
Okay, thank you, Justice. That was a very good presentation, and I think you did well with the AI aspects as well. Please, any questions for Justice? Any questions for Justice? Yeah, questions for Justice and his group.
Question for the group.
Yes, questions for the group. Yeah. Yeah, Ima. Yeah, Ima. Okay, so from Ima, then I have Joseph. Yeah.
Okay. Please, can you go back to the slide where the animation was playing, the bouncing ball?
Yeah,
Which one? Is it the manual or the
Eh,
AI
The
game?
yeah,
manual.
Okay. So I'm on the slide.
Yeah, please play it for me.
Is it Chuma? See, can she mute?
Oh, okay. So we have two animations over here. Is this okay for you, or we should play the second one for you?
You the second one, but
Okay, this is the second one.
oh, okay. So I'm just wondering why this one is so slow. Like the animation runs very slowly. That's what
It's
I'm wondering.
it's very hot.
Like the animation is very slow. Like I don't know how to say it.
I
It makes
It
think
me
looks
maybe
feel
it
as
like
could
though
be the
you have.
network.
it looks choppy.
No,
Yeah,
it
it looks
looks,
choppy.
yeah, it looks as though you have fewer frames.
Uh,
Like, yes.
Yeah, so like I indicated earlier, this was one of the challenges that the software usage was a bit of a challenge because some of us we have not been exposed to, you know. So, finding ways to combine frames together to loop the whole thing was a challenge. But the first part of the animation was very smooth.
Okay.
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 It's
So
just
you
about
use
the joining. Yes, Adobe
you use
Yeah,
Animate.
Adobe
the
Animate.
animation looks really nice, but it's just like it's slow, so you can't really get
Yes.
the effect.
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
But it,
So,
it was a good try. It was a good try.
yeah, well
I
done.
think joining the frames, you had a challenge, right? So
Yes,
you couldn't
please.
get more frames per second to make it continuous, to make it a
Exactly,
continuous
Yeah,
motion. Yeah.
it's not easy.
exactly.
It's not easy.
Yeah, it's fine. They've
Sleepless
done well.
nights,
I
oh,
mean,
sleepless
yeah,
nights. Wow.
yeah, they've done well. They've done well. Yeah, they've done well. Yes. Okay. Then, from I think I have Joseph. Then Caleb will come. Yeah. No, oh, no. Sorry, did I say Joseph? Marino. Yeah, Marino.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Oh
sir.
yes. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Okay, so please, I want to ask, how does this digital twinning affect the demonstration of animation principle compared to stop motion?
Please come again.
I'm asking, how does the digital twinning affect our ability to demonstrate animation principles compared to the stop motion?
Oh, okay.
Joseph.
So we
Joseph,
are
these
we
your
are talking.
questions. All right. Just answer.
I think
Because
this
he
question
said,
has been answered.
sir, he said the twinning makes it easier to achieve smooth motion. So I'm asking, I
Okay.
don't really get that, please.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what I meant by smooth motion is that when we take the stop motion, you would have to manually take a shot of every step that you take in terms of how the movement of the object is going, right? But with the digital twinning, with you being able to set your keyframe, then the end, then you'll be able to automatically fill up the gap between them without doing much work over there. Please, are
Okay,
you okay?
okay. Can I ask a follow question, like follow-up question?
Sure, sure.
So how does this project relate to foundation of multimedia?
How does this project relate to foundation?
Yeah.
Okay,
Because it's
so
like I'm kind of confused here. I just want to.
how does this particular project or the assignment that we were given? I don't understand the question.
The assignment is the same project, right? So how does this relate to foundation of multimedia?
Then
Oh,
that
but that one
one,
there is
some
is
will
the lecturer's
answer.
question.
Yes, give it to
Is
the
it
lecturer to
is the
You
answer
ask.
lecturer's
it
question?
because we
Okay,
are
he's
all
in class,
presenting on
so
the same thing.
Okay, so
No,
sir,
okay,
please.
you should.
let me understand where your confusion is because Mary, I don't know. Yes, what are you
They
confused about?
Okay,
the
so
way they are
this is
going
what
with stop motion and digital
let
twinning,
me let me
I
answer your
just
question.
Okay, yes,
So
I
so
think
Justice,
Yes, boss.
let me help him answer the question that he's saying. How does the assignment relate to the multimedia? You
Okay,
realize
okay.
when the other group was presenting, our lecturer just mentioned that there are tools. This is just the beginning of multimedia. And multimedia has a lot of tools that we are using to complete. And this is just the beginning. And from the beginning, you have to know some of the tools. So if you can realize the animation that he mentioned, there are other tools that he uses from AI to get that particular one for the animation to be played. So you can see that if you're asking that question, what I want to say is that it's part of the tools that we are using in the multimedia.
Very well,
okay,
very well.
okay, yeah. Thank you, thank you.
But please, sir, can you also give us some, because maybe some of us we are confused.
that is why
So,
I was
so
asking where
I,
Marino's confusion was, but maybe I'm maybe more confused now. But it's fine. I think so. For multimedia is a broad
Yeah.
scope. Okay, it's a very broad
Yes, sir.
scope, and yeah, there are actually specializations. Fact, you can't be a jack of all. You can either be specialized in image production, you might either be specialized in animations, video production, and you can't be a jack of all trades. And there are so many tools that are around that you can always play with to do your animation. So you realize that even with the AI, they use a different tool, and then they were able to even get probably a better animated object than the Luma. Okay, so with regards to the question how the assignments relate to foundations of multimedia, it's a bit blurry because whatever we are doing in the project is about multimedia. Animation is about multimedia, and the tools we are using are multimedia tools. Okay, but I
Okay,
mean, I
sir.
seem to understand Joseph that probably he has some confusion somewhere, and now he has some peculiar interest with group 8. Okay.
Sir,
Oh,
no, sir.
okay.
agenda voice.
so
Agenda. Oh.
the main goal is to create effective and also engaging digital content. So
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
main goal
Okay.
behind it. Yes.
Yeah. And I think we've all done justice to that. Okay. Yeah, every group has
Yeah.
done justice to that. All right, Joe, thank you. So let's take Caleb. I think my time is even due. So Caleb, let's take Caleb then. Okay, then Setrafia. Okay, Caleb Setrafia. I think there will be group 6 pending for next week. So Caleb and Setrafia.
Okay.
sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Justice, thank you for the presentation. And well, this question is to Justice, and maybe the lecturer could wade in a bit. Now, I have
That's fine.
noticed that the two presentations, did capitalize on digital twinning. Is that to say that a lot of animators these days, go for digital twinning because it appears it's easier to work with, unlike stop motion? And I mean, a few stop motion animations I have seen are unique in themselves. They require a lot. So is it because of the time that goes into stop motion, or there is more to why people prefer digital twinning to animation?
Okay. So please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
For me, I think this whole thing boils back to productivity and efficiency. You get it? At the end of the day, you being able to produce the same thing at a very less or lesser time, given the time constraints. So these tools are there. They have come into operation to help us, increase our productivity and also reduce the time that we have to take to ensure that certain things are produced. So for me, I believe that for what you are saying, that's the way out that we are going, because most of the animators right now are using the digital means instead of the stop motion. Please, can you have you gotten me? And also, like you rightfully indicated, the question goes to me and the lecturer. So please say.
Yes. So basically, I think we all always want the easier way out. So majority of the animated objects or majority of animated clips, they go with training, okay, because I think it's much easier looking at time. You realize that even Caleb, you took a lot of time to be able to produce what your animation compared to training. Okay, so a lot of the people go with training because despite most of the 2D and 3D animations is training. Despite the stop motion gives you a more realistic animated object. Okay, it makes it more real because of the time involved and the expertise. Yeah, I think a lot of the time is the expertise. Aside the time consumed, is the expertise that is involved in ensuring that you're able to produce the exact keyframes. And then I think Ima spoke to that. And you even mentioned that precision. You need a lot of precision. And sometimes, even for precision, the gadgets that are involved to be able to get a precise image, to get keyframes alone, it involves a lot. So you realize that the human emblem alone cannot be too precise. Okay. So I think it's the whole work done with stop motion. That is why a lot of people move to the digital twinning, which makes it much easier and faster. Okay. But if there's any other view, it's always welcome.
But does it mean stop motion at some point will become extinct?
Yeah, I think primarily for now, stop motion is not widely used again. It's not widely used again. So perhaps we may, since AI is even evolving now, when AI becomes better, AI is learning. I mean, machine learning. So eventually, AI would at a point become maybe close to 100%, then you should even realize that we may have stop motion extincting, and then probably twinning may even become something that will be rarely used. So for now, I know stop motion is rarely used. Okay, because of one, the expertise involved and the amount of time and investment that may be needed in terms of equipment and materials. Okay.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. So let me have sexual fear. David, please pardon me. I think I've crossed my limits. Yes. All right, sure. Let me have sexual fear. Then I saw Yima again. Yeah. So sexual fear.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for the
Sure.
opportunity.
Hello, sir.
Yes, boss. Yeah. Let me have sexual fear. Then we can take it from there, please.
I was adding to what you had said. It's not a question.
Okay. Oh, okay. Then you can chip in. Then sexual fear will come in.
So I would say that the stop motion, digital twinning, and now the AI generation is moving just like the generation of computers. So stop motion is like how animations began.
Yes.
Okay, and then as time progressed, softwares were developed to help do it faster and easier. And then now AI has also come in. So it's just like as we are progressing, some of these forms will become obsolete. Not really like non-existent, but then the number of people who will stick to it will be very few, that it will not really be in the conversation. And just like you said, the stop motion is quite expensive as well. In terms of production, you have to go and look for real world experiences, like set up a whole studio to create just a simple, let's say 5-second shot. Or else we could have just done it on a PC. So I believe that is how it is moving now.
Yeah. Very, 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 very good addition. Very, very good addition. So that's evolution for us. At least we are all evolving every day. So thank you very much. Yeah. So I think I have sexual fear now. Sexual fear, yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
Sure.
I don't have much to say. I just want to thank my other colleagues for such an exceptional presentations. And then I wanted to get the difference between the stop motion and then the digital twinning. But I think I've gotten enough answer for that. So thank you.
All right. Sure. Thank you so much, Sexual fear. Sexual, which group are you in? I thought you were even in group 6. So.
No, sir. If taking my group out, I'm in group 3. So
that's fine. Next week for you. All right. Okay. Yes, please. Any other question and clarity, please? Any other question, additional clarity? So please, group 6. I know group 6. I know that your work is not ready. I know. From revelation, I know. But so, but I mean, God being so good, time has catch up with us. So hopefully next week we'll look at what they have. So I won't board work for the rest of the groups remaining. So it's self-study, right? Okay, so I think so probably we'll rearrange and then we'll look at storyboarding. So I'll roll out a work for the rest of the groups. Okay, please, I've scored this work. So the next 4 groups will also do storyboarding and then they will do a presentation. So group 6, please, you are outstanding. So kindly use the period to do a very good job for us. Okay, so thank you very much for joining the class. I'll also onboard the lecture material on the LMS, and it's just basically what our colleagues have helped us to explain. So shout outs to group 2, group 4, and group 8. They've really done well. Looking at the time constraints, I mean the short period, you've really done well to do extra research to be able to give us this very good presentation. I hope just as Setrafia has clarified that, I mean, he has understood majority of the concept. I hope across board, those who were listening actually picked something. Okay, it's always a stepping stone, and I'm very happy how we are all picking it up. Thank you so much for your time, and have the best of the weekend. Bye.
Sir, please, it's group 1, not
Thank you.
It's like you've taken
Group 1.
Yes, sir.
Group 1 did the presentation.
Yes, sir. Not group 2.
No, Caleb's group is group 2.
Group 1.
It's group 1.
That's group
1, group 4, and then
Okay.
group.
Hey, I was going to give the mark to
Caleb
group
is only
2.
group 6.
Yes, I thought group 2, Caleb was in group 2. I was going to give the map to group 2.
Thank
Hey.
you. Group 2 is very
Okay, so
fun.
thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much.
Don't give it to group 2. Group 2.
What the group 2 now then?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Angelina, yeah, for Bibi Amawa.
Oh,
You know,
Munja
the
is like,
sleepless night they had. You think it's easy?
overtaking is allowed, please. Thank you.
Sir.
It means group 2 people have been joining Alpha Hour a lot, so that
Yes, sir.
I did tell you, bro. Alpha Hour.
interesting.
Its own work. Its own work.
Oh, you see the violence? You see? You don't worry, you'll be fine.
Davido.